So another way to create a multitask workflow is to use import statements. So basically, an import statement is how you want to import code from another WDL and bring it into your main WDL. So this is useful in keeping large multitask workflows organized. It's a little easy to just put two tasks together, but some workflows can definitely be much longer than that. So one way to keep that organized is to use import statements. And import statements are also helpful if you want to reuse tasks defined by others and build more modular workflows. So some concepts that are useful if you're using imports, these are just some high-level concepts to note, is just the concept of a primary descriptor. You can think of this as the main descriptor file. It anchors all the relevant imports that you're bringing into it. That includes, so those imports or the external files that you're bringing into your primary descriptor are called the sub workflows or sub WDLs. And namespaces, the concept of namespaces, are basically what are used to prevent any name collisions when you bring in multiple different files together. It basically organizes tasks and workflows into groups that are under separate namespaces so that you can always identify what variable belongs where. Aliases are custom name given to these namespaces. So aliases are optional. They might be helpful in creating a name that is more self-explanatory. But if you don't give an alias, the namespace will default to the name of the file you're importing, but without the WDL extension. So here's just a quick diagram showing what this is. So basically at the top of your WDL file, you're going to say import the resource, which is a path or a way to get to that workflow. It's usually a path or an HTTP path, and the local path, and you can give it an alias. And in the workflow block of your primary descriptor is once again where you're defining what tasks to call. First, I'm calling task A, and task A is within my primary descriptor. But here I'm calling another task, and this task is actually coming from my import, and I'm identifying it from that alias, and I'm grabbing specifically a task from that alias called task 1 and providing any inputs that I may have defined to that imported task. For your JSON mapping, specifically to give something or to define inputs to this imported task, the structure goes like this. It's still workflow name, task name, parameter name, and then the value of that, the value you want to pass to that parameter. But one thing to note here, that the workflow name is the primary descriptor, the name of the workflow in the primary descriptor. You're not putting the alias name, because like I said before, your primary descriptor is now your main descriptor file. It's what anchors all the relevant imports. So basically that's like localizing whatever you imported into your main descriptor file.